The next thing here was this from my rich dad, was what is called the quadrant, and I think it's the most important book for people willing to make changes. And the quadrant stands for employee, S stands for small business specialist like a doctor, B stands for big business, and I stands for investor. So the other difference was my poor dad always said to me, said, son, go to school so you can get a job. So from the time most people are born, they're programmed to be employees, to work for the rich. So my mom finally intervened, and my mom was a registered nurse. And she says, Robert, if you want to be rich, go to school and become a doctor. And I said, Mom, there's only one problem. She says, what's that? I says, doctors are smart. She says, you got a good point there. You don't. So early on in my life, I knew I wasn't going to survive here. It was obvious to me. On the other side of it, my rich dad says to me, he says, Robert, are you basically lazy? I said, yeah. And he says, are you incompetent? I said, yeah. And you're not very bright, are you? I said, no. He says, good, you'll do well in business here. On my book on financial IQ, it talks about this a lot here and this. And financial IQ is this, very simply, it is what you do to solve your problems. It's how smart are you at solving your problem. Now you look at it this way, for many people, when they have financial problems, they get a second job. That's an employee's mentality. I don't get a second job, I start a second business. There's a difference in the mindset of how a person handles a problem, okay?